The iPod is a line of portable media players designed and marketed by Apple Incorporated. The first line was released on November 10, 2001, its most recent redesigns announced on September 12, 2012. There are 4 current versions of the iPod: the ultra-compact iPod Shuffle, the compact iPod Nano, the touchscreen iPod Touch, and the hard drive-based iPod Classic. Like other digital music players, iPods can serve as external data storage devices. Storage capacity varies by model, ranging from 2 GB for the iPod Shuffle to 160 GB for the iPod Classic. The software bundled with the first-generation iPod was Macintosh only, so Windows users had to use third-party software like EPHpod or XPlay to manage their music. When Apple introduced the second generation of iPods in July 2002, they sold 2 versions, one that included iTunes for Macintosh users and another that included Music Match Jukebox for Windows users. In October 2003, Apple released the Windows version of iTunes, and started selling iPods that included both Macintosh and Windows versions of iTunes so that they could be used with either platform. Current iPods no longer ship with iTunes, which must be downloaded from Apple's website. There are 24 different versions of the iPod to date. The MacBook is a brand of Macintosh notebook computers manufactured by Apple Incorporated from early 2006 to late 2011. It replaced the iBook series and 12-inch PowerBook series of notebooks as a part of the Apple Intel transition from PowerPC. Positioned as the low end of the MacBook family, the Apple MacBook was aimed at the consumer and education markets. It was the best-selling Macintosh in history, and according to the sales research organization NPD Group in October 2008, the mid-range model of the MacBook was the single best-selling laptop of any brand in U.S. retail stores for the preceding 5 months. There have been 3 separate designs of the MacBook. The original model used a combination of polycarbonate and fiberglass casing that was modeled after the iBook G4. The second type, introduced in October 2008 alongside the 15-inch MacBook Pro, used a similar unibody aluminum casing to the 15-inch Pro, and was updated and rebranded as the 13-inch MacBook Pro at the 2009 Apple Worldwide Developers Conference in June 2009. A third design, introduced in October 2009, used a unibody polycarbonate shell as aluminum is now reserved for the higher-end MacBook Pro. On July 20, 2011, the MacBook was quietly discontinued for consumer purchase in favor of the new MacBook Air. Apple continued to sell the MacBook to educational institutions until February 2012. The MacBook has effectively been superseded by the MacBook Air. The iPhone is a line of smartphones designed and marketed by Apple Incorporated. It runs Apple's iOS mobile operating system. The first-generation iPhone was released on June 29, 2007. The most recent iPhone, the 6th-generation iPhone 5, on September 21, 2012. The user interface is built around the device's multi-touch screen, including a virtual keyboard. The iPhone has Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity, 2G, 3G, 4G, and LTE. An iPhone can shoot video, take photos, play music, send and receive email, browse the web, send text, and receive visual voicemail. The iPhone has many other functions: games, reference, GPS navigation, social networking, etc. that can be enabled by downloading apps. As of 2012, the App Store offered more than 775,000 plus apps by Apple and third parties. There are 6 generations of iPhone models, each accompanied by one of the 6 major releases of iOS. The original first-generation iPhone was a GSM phone, and established design precedents, such as a button placement that has persisted through all models and a screen size maintained until the launch of the iPhone 5 in 2012. The iPhone 4S upgrades to an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p video recording, a dual-core processor, and a natural language voice control system called Siri. iPhone 5 features the new A6 processor, increases the size of the Retina display to 4 inches, and replaces the 30-pin connector with an all-digital Lightning connector. The iPad is a line of tablet computers designed and marketed by Apple Incorporated, which runs Apple's iOS operating system. The first iPad was released on April 3, 2010. The most recent iPad models, the 4th-generation iPad and iPad mini, were released on November 2, 2012. The user interface is built around the device's multi-touch screen, including a virtual keyboard. The iPad has built-in Wi-Fi and, on some models, cellular connectivity. An iPad can shoot video, take photos, play music, and perform internet functions such as web browsing and emailing. Other functions, games, reference, GPS navigation, social networking, etc., can be enabled by downloading and installing apps. As of 2013, the App Store offered more than 800,000 apps by Apple and third parties. 14. There are 5 generations of the iPad. The first generation established design precedents, such as screen size and button placement, that have persisted through all models. The iPad 2 added a dual-core Apple A5 processor and VGA front-facing and 720p rear-facing cameras designed for FaceTime video calling. The third generation added a Retina display, the new Apple A5X processor with a quad-core graphics processor, a 5-megapixel camera, HD 1080p video recording, voice dictation, and 4G LTE. The fourth generation adds the Apple A6X processor and replaces the 30-pin connector with an all-digital Lightning connector. The iPad mini features a reduced screen size of 7.9 inches, in contrast to the standard 9.7 inches, and features similar internal specifications as the iPad 2. It also uses the new Lightning connector as the iPad 4. iOS 6 adds Siri to the third and fourth generations and the iPad mini.
To create something that's genuinely new, you have to start again. And I think with great intent, you disconnect from the past. From the very beginning, the iPad was designed to be very powerful, very capable, but also remarkably simple to use. Along with the experience of actually using it, what makes iPhone 5 so unique is how it feels in your hand. The materials it's been made with, the remarkable precision with which it's been built was everything that was just missing. That there is inherent loss in just reducing a product in size. We began with a design that we really loved, but to build it, to implement it, we had to look way beyond what we knew to be possible. It took all of our learning, our best thinking, to realize something so simple, so clear, and yet so truly extraordinary.
Tangerine had also been hired to do some work for Apple, and Ives' visits to California offered him an escape route. One day Jonathan asked to stay out for some California sunshine, even though it was the winter over there. When he came back he had a smile on his face. They had made him a job offer. He hasn't got where he is because of his ego. They just realized he was completely in tune with Apple's DNA. I believe that the characteristics and style of California are embedded in Ives' work. Apple products are the essence of California. The colors, the feel of interacting with the products, as well as the aesthetics are California. Taking another look at the similarities of Dieter Rams' work and Ives' work, one can see the obvious vibrancy that Apple products have. If Ives modeled his work after Rams' work, then the difference is the day and age and most importantly California.